Hello everyone and welcome back to Unreal Engine for Pavlov modding. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about audio. So we got some requests for how to do some audio sources as well as how to do background noise for maps, and we're going to show you a little bit of both as well as how to set up some attenuation profiles, which we won't go into too much detail about because really it just kind of comes down to personal preference on how you want an audio source to sound for a specific reason. So we'll just go over some basics here. So we are in a special new map. Just quick overview on this map. So on the last map, for whatever reason, we were having some problems trying to get people to play in it. Don't know what was going on, but we went ahead and created a new one where it was not bugging out for some reason. Perhaps maybe it was an issue with the player info, or maybe even the game logic was having some strange issues. Essentially, it wouldn't load on the servers, but I have no idea, but after migrating it to a new one, building a new terrain and whatnot, everything seems to be working. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but I have yet to import all of the custom guns from it. Like they're all imported. I have yet to put them on here and whatnot. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, we had a user request how to do some audio, so we're going to show you a little bit here. So first thing to note about audio with Unreal Engine 5 is that specifically with Unreal Engine 5.1 is that the only audio formats that are supported right now are WAV or .wav. I do know that in later versions like 5.7 and onwards that they do support the conversion from MP3, OGG and whatnot automatically to .wav. The first thing I would recommend you do is get all of your files converted from MP3 to WAV or OGG to WAV. Just get them converted over to .wav, and I highly recommend using software like Audacity so you have full control over the conversion, and so that way you don't lose any of that audio quality. Once you do have the WAV file converted over, you will import it the same way that you do any asset. You'll hit the import and you'll click on your WAV file. Once you do, it will create the asset in your UGC or wherever you import it, and it'll be this little purple icon here. So simply for background elements, if you want a background track to play, you don't actually need to set up any sound cues or attenuation profiles. If you just want background sounds, you can actually just take your WAV file that you have and drag it onto the map. It's that simple. You'll hear that we've got our music playing, but if we were to listen to this all the way through, it would actually stop and not repeat. And that's because we missed doing something very critical. Now you could do this either per instance, or you could do it by double clicking the WAV file you have here, but you want to make sure that you check the box for looping. If you don't do that, then once the audio source goes through its first pass, it will stop playing altogether. But yeah, it's really just that simple. That's it. You can adjust the volume from here, the pitch and whatnot. You can put it in an audio class if you want. But that's really honestly all you need to do. And there's a bit of settings that you can go ahead and mess with here. I don't usually mess with these. I'm not really too familiar with a lot of these settings here, but most of the time, once I have my audio all figured out, I just import it and it's good as is. That being said, what if you need an audio source to play in a specific location? What if you need a 3D sound? Well, that's where something like a sound cue is going to be very helpful. And I have two volumes over here set up for this purpose. So if we go ahead and play in our viewer here, we have these two volumes, and when we enter them, we actually will hear our music. And I'll spin around a little bit so you can kind of hear it move from each ear to the other if you've got stereo output. If not, then maybe you won't hear it, but it's clearly playing from one source. And as I get closer to it, it gets a little louder. And if I move, you can kind of hear that it goes from one side to the other side. So this is a 3D audio source, and it's all thanks to the help of sound cues, and we'll jump into that a little bit more. And then over here, we have a completely different audio source. So the two don't mix together, and we don't have this problem of cross-stream audio sources. So how did we accomplish this? Well, we created a sound cue, and we have a very specific attenuation profile set up with them. Now, you don't need to get too in-depth with sound attenuation profiles. You can actually set these up per each instance if you'd like. In fact, that's what I did for this one, just for the simplicity of this tutorial. And to give you an idea, let's go ahead and open up one of these sound cues. Now, it's as simple as it sounds. When you create a sound cue, you will be brought to a window like this, and you will only have an output. Now, just like any blueprint, you can do all sorts of crazy things. So all I did was I simply put a branch or a node with a wave player. And the wave player just lets you put in a wave file. You can set it to loop if you'd like. That was all I did. Nothing crazy at all. Really simple. Now, this is also where you can do your attenuation profile. Now, I have an attenuation profile already created, but if you don't want to do this, or you're not too comfortable with it, you can actually go ahead and select this override attenuation, and you can actually set the profile in the sound cue itself. The benefit of having an attenuation setting already created is that you don't have to do this for every single sound cue. And if you have multiple different sound cues that will be performing the same type of audio task, then it would be very helpful to just be able to click and select and be done and whatnot. And what that looks like is, if I were to select this source, for example, you can see that I have two spheres here. I have an inner sphere and I have an outer sphere. When the player is inside of this volume here, this sound will play. And the closer we are to this inner sphere, or if we were inside the inner sphere, that's when that volume really kicks up and gets louder. I could be a little bit wrong on that. I'm not too familiar with all this stuff, but that's essentially a very basic rundown of the 3D audio sources. And this is why it's really nice to just have these attenuation profiles already created, because then when you drag and drop it, you don't have to worry about setting this sphere volume or square volume or however you have it set up for each of these sources. So that's a very basic rundown of audio. Now, there's so much more that you can do with this. There's sound classes, and if you're ever interested in taking a look at those, if you just right click in your UGC, you can go to the sounds, and there is a ton of things, but this is where you'll create your sound cues, your attenuations, your sources, all that jazz. So that's pretty much everything for this tutorial. I know it was a short one, but it was something that was requested, and I do want to make sure that we even cover the most basic of things, because it does make a big difference, because audio does make or break a lot of maps. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this, and let me know what else you guys would like to see. There are a couple things that I'll be working on. There was a request for a delivery type system with money, so I do have a little box over here I'm working on. It's a little blueprint for a delivery system. There was a mirror, which we have over here, that I'm happy to showcase a little bit. I guess we could show a little bit of it here, but yeah, you could do mirrors in this game, which are very wonky in VR, but they're all right. And then I do have some custom guns that I'll be showcasing. I would like to go all the way from the start to finish, from a bare model all the way to a fully functional gun, because that's what we did with these two guns here, for example, is that they are fully static meshes, and now they are fully usable weapons. And I want to make sure that I'm familiar with it to the point where I can talk a little bit more about it. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.